Many photographers think that post-processing is something that has to be done later on a computer, but your Fujifilm X or GFX series camera actually gives you a surprising amount of post-processing capability in the camera itself. And that's what we're going to look at here, is the in-camera RAW converter and some of the other processing options that you have in the camera. Now, when would you even want to do this? Well, you're not going to want to do it to every photo because it is tedious to do on that little camera screen, but if you want to get a photo out to social media or send to friends and family and you can't get back to your computer right away, you can just pull up that photo in playback mode and then change things like the film simulation, the contrast, the exposure, things like that to give you a photo closer to what you envisioned. And then you can export that as a JPEG and send it off to wherever it needs to go. Now, there are some things that you need to do to prepare your camera to use this capability, so let's start by looking at that. The most important thing to know is that you need to be recording the RAW file format. This is the RAW converter, so it won't work on JPEG or HEIF files. So in your image quality setting, under image quality, make sure that you have an option there that is recording RAW. Either Fine plus RAW, which is my recommendation if you want JPEG plus RAW, or just the RAW file itself. Once you have that set, there is one other setting in here that I want to mention now, and that's the dynamic range setting. This setting doesn't change the RAW file itself, just how the RAW file is recorded through the changes in ISO and shutter speed that are required for it. I'm not going to go into the mechanics of how the dynamic range setting works. I have done plenty of other videos about that you'll find linked in the video description. But I mention this now because if you want to be able to change your dynamic range setting in the RAW converter, you need to be recording at least DR200 or DR400. In the RAW converter, you'll see this in a few minutes. You can only go down in settings, you can't go up. So those were some things that you're going to want to do to set up your camera to get the most out of the playback RAW converter. Now let's take a look at actually using the in-camera RAW converter. When you're in playback mode and you're viewing the image that you want to alter, there are a couple of different ways to get to the RAW converter. First, you can press Menu and then RAW Conversion is the first option there. Or the shortcut to that is to just press the Q button from playback mode, assuming you have not reassigned or locked out the Q button. You'll be taken immediately into the RAW conversion menu. And your RAW conversion menu will look different from what I have here. It's different depending on what camera you have and what options are available. But I want to first discuss the options for how your file is saved when you're done with your adjustments. In file type, you can choose to save it as a JPEG, HEIF, or TIFF. You can change the file size. If you're going to be sending it directly to social media, I'd recommend choosing the small size. Or if you want to be able to crop it, save it as the large size. And then the image quality, I'd just leave it as fine. There's one other setting at the end, and that's the color space. And I'd recommend just here leaving it on sRGB. The option at the top there, Reflect Shooting Conditions, that resets all of your adjustments to whatever settings were used when that file was created at capture. So if you just make so many adjustments, you get lost. You want to start from scratch, choose Reflect Shooting Conditions. So when I pull up the histogram on this image, we see that it's fairly overexposed. The first setting in the RAW conversion menu that you might want to start with is push-pull processing, where you can decrease or increase the exposure from -2 to +3 stops. Any adjustment that you make in the RAW conversion menu, after you make that adjustment, press the Q button to preview what that adjustment looks like. Then press back to go back into the RAW conversion menu, and you can continue making adjustments using those steps. So here, I think I'm going to decrease the exposure, let's say 2/3 of a stop. I'm going to select that, press Q, looks good to me, and now I'm going to press back to continue my editing. The next thing that you probably want to adjust is your film simulation, because all of these other adjustments, all of these other image quality settings are going to be based on the film simulation. So set that next. This image was recorded in standard in Provia, so I can go through all of the different film simulation options that I might want to try with this particular photo, just selecting the film simulation that I think I might want to try here. So maybe I want to see what nostalgic neg would look like for that more nostalgic feeling. Press Q to preview it. Back to select a new film simulation. So maybe I want to go to classic chrome for more of that documentary style feeling. Press Q to preview it. Back to go back to my film simulation setting. I think I want to stick with Velvia. So I'm going to choose Velvia here. And you'll notice that the next setting, monochromatic color, is grayed out. It's unavailable. That is only available with the monochromatic film simulations, black and white or Acros. So if you choose one of those, now you can change the tinting on that monochromatic film simulation. So I'm going to go back to Velvia. And then you can start going through the other image quality settings. And I'm not going to go into what each one of these settings does. I've done countless videos about many of these settings. I have a free ebook that you can also download to reference what all of these do. You'll also find that linked in the video description. But if we go back to the previous page, you'll see that dynamic range is unavailable. It's grayed out. Remember earlier that I said you can only go down in dynamic range settings. You can't go up. This image right here was created using DR100, which is effectively off. So I can't go up to DR200 or DR400 because the original photo was created at DR100. But if we look at this photo, which was created with the DR400 setting, now I have 100, 200, and 400 available. So if I think that this DR400 was a little heavy-handed, I can maybe see what it would look like if it's off. So I can choose DR100, press Q. That sky is really blown out, so I can go back into that menu, maybe select DR200 and see what that would look like. This one that was created with DR200 only has 100 and 200 available. I can't go up to DR400. But let's keep going with our initial example. You'll notice that derange priority is also grayed out. This is only available if this setting was used in the initial image capture. But you can go through all of these settings. The film grain may be a little difficult to preview in the raw conversion menu. You're going to have better luck seeing what those effects are doing in playback after the image is saved, but for the sake of it, just choose large, strong grain here. I'm going to press Q to preview that. Again, you can't see it very well. I'm going to go back. Maybe I want to do a polarized sky effect. I can set color chrome FX blue to strong. Preview that. That's way too much. Remember, this is the Velvia film simulation. Let's try weak. We preview weak, and again, that's still a little strong in the sky, so I'm going to go back and turn that off. You can change your white balance, any white balance setting. Let's say if I wanted to warm this up a little bit, I could go into the Kelvin color temperature, setting a manual color temperature here of 6,000 degrees, which is way too warm. So I'm going to go back into that white balance menu. I'm going to drop that down to 5,500. Preview that. It's still a little on the warm side, so let's just drop it a couple hundred degrees to 5,300. You can also add a white balance shift, further tinting that white balance. So let's just warm it up a little bit further, some red and some yellow. We can preview that. And this whole time, I recommend making one adjustment, previewing it so you know exactly what that adjustment did to the photo, and then going back. It is time consuming, especially since the menu starts over from the beginning each time, but it will help you keep track of what your adjustments are doing. If I wanted to tone down the highlight contrast and maybe deepen the shadows, I could do that in the tone curve. making a negative adjustment to the highlights and a positive adjustment to the shadows. Preview that. If I think the color saturation is a little too strong, I can decrease that 1 point to -2. Preview what that does. Maybe I will add some sharpness to the initial capture for that grass. I'll do the same thing with the clarity, adding 3 points of clarity. And again, preview what all of my adjustments to this point look like. Everything is additive. Now, if I like that, I can press OK to save that as the final picture. It will be saved at the end of my camera roll with those JPEG settings that we set up in that menu. You'll see it's a small JPEG with that fine quality. If you don't like those adjustments, remember how we said earlier, you can start from scratch by choosing the Reflect Shooting Conditions option, and that picture will be reset to the image quality settings that you used to capture. I want to talk about some of the options at the end. Digital teleconverter is only available if that initial photo was created using the digital teleconverter option. If you had 1.4 or 2x in use when you captured the picture, you can come in here and that really just lets you zoom out. So go to 2 to 1.4 or 1.4 to 1. HDR mode is also only available if you're working on an image that was created with the HDR drive mode. And like dynamic range, you can only go down in settings, not up. So this one was created using HDR+. If you think that's a little heavy-handed, you can come in here and change that to 800. Preview what that looks like. If it's still too strong, you can come back, set it to 400. This image right here was created with an initial HDR setting of 400, and you can see that I can only go down in settings, not up. So that's an overview of the raw conversion menu. One other final thing that you may want to do in the playback menu, so you're viewing that image that you just made those adjustments to. If you want to crop it, you can do that by pressing Menu and then choosing Crop. Use the command aisles to change how tight that crop is, and then use the joystick to move it around the screen. If those letters turn yellow, it's going to be saved as a smaller JPEG. And that's why I recommended, if you do think you are going to crop it, you set it to large in that raw conversion menu. But you can press OK to save it when you're happy with your crop, and that also will be saved as a new JPEG file at the end of your camera roll. So if you're shooting RAW, your Fujifilm camera gives you a really good capability to reprocess those in the camera. Just make sure that you are recording the RAW file format, and then you can do whatever you want with those image quality settings from playback mode. If you want to learn even more about the Fujifilm system, including how to create your own custom settings and getting perfect JPEGs in the camera, you can check out my full library of Fujifilm courses at photocourses.link/Fujifilm, and you can save 20% on any of those courses using the code TUBE20. Please let me know if you have any other questions or comments. Subscribe for more great tips like this every week, and I hope to see you in the next video.